I have encouraged people to separate for a season, but that's not divorce. So like ultimately reconciliation is what I would point towards. But I do think there are times when I have advised a husband and wife to separate for safety, different things that might happen. But divorce, no, I've never looked at someone and said, I think divorce is the best option for you.
Yeah, nobody likes my advice, and that is if there's physical violence, then it's get safe. So that's where separation would come in. Yeah. But then it's pray and wait, and then it's seek the Lord. You know, there is, I want to say this, and I have friends who have been divorced. I have some of our lay elders in our church who have been divorced. And so there's no hate, there's no shame, there's no guilt I'm throwing at any of them. And I just never advise anybody to get a divorce for a couple of reasons. One, the Bible's clear. God hates divorce. Number two, I hate divorce. I have a personal experience with that when my parents divorced. I know all three of us have, Josh and I were teenagers when our parents divorced. You were a grown man, and it's not fun for anybody involved because it's sinful. Yeah. I mean, that's just the end of the day. It's sinful. If you marry somebody who's a believer, like the scripture encourages you to do, and discourages you from marrying people that are not believers, then your marriage should represent Christ and Christ's love for his church, God's love for his people. That's what marriage is supposed to illustrate, demonstrate. And a marriage like that literally sends glory back to God, which is what, he's worthy of that glory. And so, Angie and I's marriage isn't just about us. It's about how do I reflect my husbandship, reflect Christ's husbandship, and how does her submission and resemble the church's submission to Christ? And so, divorce across the board sinful.
It's across the board, and not only is the act of divorce sinful, but I want to point out something,
because I know it's coming. Bring it. I like this.
I want to point out something that is really important for us to remember, and for you to remember, and that's the divorce is in itself the act of sin, but generally what leads to that divorce is a series of sins that impact your family in a broader scope. And so, like, I was a grown man when my parents divorced. You were younger, but no doubt the sin that led to that divorce was devastating in itself, because people who are happy, fulfilled, and they're following Jesus don't get divorced. So generally the sin started long before the divorce was signed. And that sin, that's whatever that sinfulness, if it was adultery, right? If whatever it was, if it was physical abuse, if it was alcohol abuse, whatever those things were, that sin that led to the divorce, that wreaks havoc on a family in a way that the signing the papers doesn't.